Welcome to the Brett Davis Podcast.
Welcome, everybody. I'm very honored today to have two outstanding, very creative ladies that are with me today. We're going to talk about their films. The first lady here, of course, is Rachel Ronsick, who is a writer and star of Beauty is Bliss. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
The second individual I have here is Whitney Wigman Wood, who is the writer and the star of The Last Butterflies.
Nice to be here.
And, you know, these are really great topics. And of course, you're going to be premiering these films at the Coronado Island Film Festival,
Yes.
which is really cool.
Yeah, next week.
This is a great place to have a film because everything's walkable, which is nice. Sometimes it's hard to find parking, but overall, it's kind of a Main Street hometown feeling.
Absolutely.
Right. Let's talk about Beauty is Bliss with Rachel, because I'm going in order here of things and questions I want to ask.
Yeah.
So one thing in society that is interesting, I want to hear why you decided to write about this topic, which I think I kind of know, but I want to hear you because I might be wrong. Basically, the story is about experiencing major side effects after getting is it women and men or women?
Women and men, yeah.
Getting their hands on a new skin cream that everybody's talking about on TikTok that removes wrinkles.
Yes. It's
Is there a way to talk about it without
giving away?
the plot?
For sure. I mean, I think it's, we see what happens on TikTok and things get popular and then that's the new fad. This is how fads are created now. Are kids still saying fads? Is that like a thing or did I just date myself?
It was
fad?
Last week.
Okay, we'll stick with it. We'll pretend. So it's just, and I am myself fall victim to this and spend a ridiculous amount of money on trying to get my youth back through skin creams that I have no idea what's in them.
Really?
And, just that, Gwyneth Paltrow selling it or something. So it gets my attention. And so that background combined with my boyfriend's also a writer. And one day we just walked to the beach here and decided to just set a timer for an hour and see what we would come up with.
Talking about Coronado?
Yeah, Coronado, right on the
So are you a local?
Yeah, I live here. Yeah.
You live in Coronado?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So it was just over the last year. He's lived here longer, but
you didn't go on the water though.
I learned very quickly from the signs that are posted are often around the beach. Do not go into the water.
We're not going to talk about our movie. We're talking about yours. Sorry about that.
The signs are scary enough. I don't know that I need
So you and your boyfriend are walking. You decided that skin cream.
We just decided we were going to write short stories and see what we come up with in an hour. And I actually just looked online for a writing prompt just to get my mind thinking. And I found one that was high-end retail workers. And I thought, what does it take to work in some of these high-end stores? Like the clientele you have to work with, the amount of money they're spending, and you're just, working there as an employee. And so I thought, what would you have to do to get through that day? And I thought, what if you could utilize your position to do something to take your power back? And that's where the idea really came from.
So how does one take your power back?
Maybe some trickery and people not realizing, taking advantage of people's lack of critical thinking skills.
Which seems to be another good topic for a film.
Yeah. The lack of critical thinking skills.
Right.
Probably have to be a trilogy there.
Oh, ever changing like a TikTok, right?
Yes.
So the thing, so basically the thing I like about what we're going to talk about today in both films is they have to do with what's, going on now, which is a lot of things, but the basis of what we're talking about, from vanity to things going on with the environment in many different ways and things that are going on. Did you find out anything during the film that you thought, I never thought about this? This is a whole added thing that I could add to the film while you're making it.
It was just really funny how many people that were involved in the film that said, wow, I'm really going to think twice about what I'm buying and why I'm buying it. So that was really interesting.
Okay. And Whitney, of course, you have an extensive background. I mean, just the time that we were here and we talked about some of the things that you've been involved with. It sounds like you've been doing this forever, but you're
Yeah, no, it feels like forever some days.
Your skin cream's working, by the way, because I would never guess.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I just, I stay out of the sun. I treat it like a vampire would, theater
Okay.
kid for life.
And you
so-
played a vampire.
No, I played a high school student.
Okay. And a vampire, and was it Vampire?
In Vampire Diaries.
Diaries.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
I lived in Atlanta.
Okay.
But yeah, so for my film, it came out of a series of anxiety dreams that I was having in late 2019 for about a week. I just had terrible sleep, nightmares. And one night I'm just like, fine, I'm going to get up and I'm going to write it out, and kind of got it out of my system.
And you remembered the nightmares,
Oh yeah.
because
No,
not everybody remembers their nightmares.
I woke up like hard crying from this nightmare. And when you watch the movie, you'll be like, oh, yeah, no, I can see that. So I wrote it and I put it aside for a while because it was kind of out of my system. And maybe in the back of my head, I was like, maybe someday I'll make this into a movie. But then, pandemic happened and everything, and it just sort of kind of kept nagging at me. And so last year around, I guess, April or May, I went and I met with a producer friend of mine. I'm like, how do you make a movie? Just like lay it all out for me.
So you had never done this.
No,
You've
No.
you've been involved with the process,
as an actor, yes.
but not from behind the scenes.
No, I mean, I've done like PA work and, like little stints, but mostly just an actor. I've been a secret writer my whole life. I have a book full of writings that no one ever gets to see. But yeah, so I went to my producer friend, and she sat over lunch one day and told me all the things. I'm like, oh, that's a lot. That's really overwhelming. Let me think about this. And then Sue Vickery, who is our executive producer, she was a woman that I had met when I was 19 years old. Whenever I was going to Avila University, I was her assistant, and she taught me how to do Avid and all this editing. And years later, that friendship circled back around, and she executive produced my short film. And yeah, so I believe June 15th was my first meeting with Sue, and then June 15th the next year is when we had our final version of the film with, subtitles and everything. So,
It sounds like kismet,
yeah,
right? It was meant to be.
it was.
So what about the environment? Can we talk about some of the things that are in the movie about the environment?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The movie's pretty front loaded with all of the bad things that are happening to set the stage for what's going on with the main characters. There are things like there's 3 hurricanes that hit the U.S. Virgin Islands. There is a drought that's happening throughout the Midwest, which causes a famine. This one was very sad for me. The red panda, the last red panda dies, and I said it that the last red panda was at the San Diego Zoo, because we do have pandas there. So all these really tragic things are happening really early on. And the thing is, even though this came from a nightmare, whenever I went back and retooled it, I did spend a lot of time researching like societal collapse and ecological collapse. And I had a climate change scientist look at my script, and he goes, well, you're pretty on point for what's going to happen. And based on everything that's going on, your characters are probably living in 2080. And he said, but knowing that you don't have the budget to have like updated tech, you can add 1 line of dialogue and your characters will be in 2040. And then your
Wow.
and then your Prius will just be vintage, right? So because we use my car in the film. And the 1 line of dialogue, which did get added, was that the permafrost melted prematurely, faster than the scientists had projected, and that released tons of CO2 into the
How
atmosphere.
interesting.
So yeah, no, how terrifying, because
Because I've said interesting in a polite way, because it sounds like it could happen.
oh yeah, no, like literally everything is hinging on this one event not
Right.
happening. And that's just really hoping that scientists are super accurate with their projections. And that's terrible. Like I have goosebumps right now just talking about this, because everything is hinging on this one little thing that if that happens, the waterfall effect is devastating.
With that one thing possibly being the reason why this all could happen, is there a way to slow it down, or is there a solution?
So in my movie, there's not. In my movie, it ends very tragically, but in reality, there are scientists working diligently on this every single day. I think the problem is it's really hard for folks in the sciences to get funding. And that comes down to like a political willpower thing, which I'm sure we could go on for hours on, where our tax money is being spent. But yeah, there are people out there working on it, and I believe that there are geniuses that will solve this because what do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention.
Mm-hmm.
And we are in great need right now of brilliant people who can solve our climate issues and our overall environmental issues, from everything from the garbage patch in the Pacific to how much CO2 is in our water, in our air,
Sewage in our water.
microplastics in our food,
Yeah, that too.
In our blood.
in our blood, yeah, literally in our bodies.
You know what I heard during COVID is because there was a shortage of people working in mortuaries and everything, actually. They were finding that when they went to go do the embalming in the bodies, that they didn't need to really do any embalming because the plastics and the chemicals that were in the body were preserving the body longer than they had been in the past.
Wow.
That's what I found from a friend of mine who was saying that they were noticing that they had more time than they couldn't figure out why, and that's what it was. So I don't think you're that off track on any of this.
No, and like
Or you also.
Yeah.
just a few months ago, whenever there was that hurricane that was coming towards San Diego, and then there was an earthquake, my director calls me up and he goes, "So your movie's just a documentary now?" I'm like, thanks, man, thanks.
Yeah, you really had your crystal ball.
Wish it didn't.
Well,
really wish it didn't.
But I think it's important for people to look ahead because we really need to, and I think both your films are perfect for the time of what's going on. Do we have any clips that we can show of Whitney or Rachel's film? What can we see first?
Oh, okay. So, and my short of Beauty is Bliss, it's centered around 2 customers and 3 particularly odd seeming sales associates that you see pictured here that just seem a little too perfect, a little too perky, a little too happy to be there.
Do you know anybody like that?
I mean, I feel like when you go into any of these stores, I will say one of the actors who is in this picture, I won't reveal who, actually works at a skin company, a skin cream company. So it was pretty fun to have that perspective.
Very, very interesting. Is there another photo?
This is our movie poster. So you can
Very
see
nice.
it has a little, there is a slight horror component
Gives me
to
kind
it.
of chills. The creepy hands coming out of the black backdrop.
Yeah. That was actually designed by our director.
Very nice. I like the purple. Is it purple? What is that color?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some version of purple.
And do we have a clip of Whitney's film?
Yeah, so this is our poster.
I love that too. Beautiful.
Thank you. It's done by David S. Dawson, and Tara St. Clair was the photographer. And so the little girl there is Ivy. She's 5. She's one of the most talented 5-year-olds I've ever met in my life.
Wow.
She plays my daughter, and our relationship is pretty much the crux of the film. So that's why we decided to have the 2 of us trudging through the Canadian wilderness together on the photo.
And Canada was where again? And Canada was where?
Yeah. So Missouri and Kansas stood in for Canada in this case. And so this is one of the clips as we are walking along. We are to the last of our food stocks. We have just a little bit of peanut butter left and some water. And we're trying very hard to make it to a safe haven in Canada at Baker Lake. And you guys will have to come watch the movie to find out if we make it or not.
Well, we look forward to seeing both films. Is there any other? Is that it? Is that pretty much? I appreciate both of you and the passion for film and storytelling that you put into this, the energy, because God knows it's long hours and we don't get paid a lot of money for this. So it has to be a passion and really caring for what is going on, and to be able to be creative like you were from your dreams or walking along the water is great. I mean, is there anything you'd like to share with future filmmakers out there that maybe they should think of that maybe you didn't think about?
I mean, I wrote this as a short story, and then somebody asked me what I was working on writing wise, and I mentioned it, and she was like, "I want to make that. I want to produce that. I want to do that. Write it as a short film, and let's do it." And there is some virtual effect component to it, so I was like, "This could be expensive. I don't know." And so my takeaway from that is you never know what could happen with one of your stories or something that you write or something that you're passionate about, and just sharing what you do and saying yes to opportunities that come up. And I did not ever imagine when I wrote that short story that I would be here talking about a film that's already made, that's in the Coronado Film Festival. So you just never know what could happen. So it's important to get your work out there.
Very nice. Whitney, what about you?
Advice from my side, 2 things. Be really willing to work on other people's things, because I've done a lot of favors over my 20-something years of doing this, and so I got to call in a lot of favors for
good.
this movie.
Good.
And then do a lot of pre-production.
So help as many people as you can.
Yeah.
Just because it's the right thing to do and you want to help.
Yeah.
And you have a passion. You said you have 5 degrees.
Yeah. Well, two degrees and then some minors. Yeah.
So it ends up being like 5.
Yeah.
5 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Okay.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
There you go.
That sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I obviously like help out because you love making movies, and you help out a friend and then they help you. It all comes back around. And then be really thorough on your pre-production. Those are my 2 pieces of advice.
Very good advice. And we look forward to watching the films. And of course, the dates are listed right there at the bottom of the screen. Thank you both for being here.
So happy to have been here. Thank you so much.
It's an honor having both of you in your schedules and making time to be here and struggling to be in Coronado.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, everybody, let's support the Coronado Island Film Festival and their films. And we will see you in the next interview. Everybody take care.